Yeah, we most certainly can.
What up, y'all? We are back in person, together once again.
The squad is back together.
Squad!
Hey!
This is the Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast with,
Dashing D.
and I'm JD. There is a lot of beef.
I thought you were going to say there's a lot of D's.
Throw some D's on that. No, that's not what I was going to say.
Sorry. Okay.
It's fine. There's a lot of beef going on. We're going to try to get to all of it.
Yeah.
But first, let's start with music. So shame on us. We should have spoke about this last episode, but Cardi B dropped a single.
She sure did.
And there's a lot of discussion surrounding it, or was a lot of discussion surrounding it. And I don't know why we missed that. So shame on us. But Cardi dropped a single. And a lot of people are saying that it was clearly old music. There were references that Little Dirk made about driving a 21 and doing certain things in 21, and I put that on 21. And Kanye mentions Virgil's passing and some other things. They also say that the raps from Kanye did not sound like the raps on Donda 2. Speculation is that this is an old song, and it never got released, or it was held on to for various reasons.
Okay.
I don't know why that fucking matters. That's my response to that. If we're talking about the song, then let's talk about the song. If it's old, if it's new, it's new to us.
Right. I've never heard it before 5 minutes ago.
Right, and I don't understand the hoopla around that conversation because people drop old music on albums all the time.
Right.
In fact, I would argue that that's kind of the trend of current album releasing.
I mean, especially if you've been recording your album for a while, chances are some of the content is going to be dated just because you took your time with your album.
Right. So I don't see the big deal. Whether it's old or new, who cares? The question is, what do people think of the song? I think that's what matters. And I just was on Cardi B Spotify. It's her number one song at the moment. So clearly it's doing well. It has like the top list of popular songs for artists when you go, like 5 songs or whatever. Yeah. It's number one on her list. So shout out to Cardi. Clearly people are feeling the record. I don't think it matters whether this is old or new. What matters is that Cardi showed up, and she did. Her parts are good. They don't sound dated to me. The song doesn't sound like something from 1985.
I bumped to it. I was, doing a little dance.
Yeah.
When I heard it.
Yeah, the beat is cool. Definitely something you could bop to. And Cardi showed up, and if it's Cardi's song, I think that's really what matters. If Cardi put her best foot forward, then I think that's what matters. It doesn't matter really if it was recorded in 2017, 2019, 2022, or yesterday.
I mean, because then what happens to all the music we listen to now that came out before?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, and
it doesn't matter when it was made, as long as it's music we can enjoy. Right. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it does.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it matters. And there, like I said, in the age of streaming, people will put out a quote unquote Lucy, and then 2 years later an album comes out and it's on there. So I don't see how this would be any different. Shout out to Cardi, good record. I don't have much more to say. I think she showed up, and that's what's important because it's her record. Now, if it was somebody else's record and Cardi didn't show up, then I can see there being a discussion. But Cardi killed it, and that's what she's been doing for a minute now. And who gives a fuck? Get your money, girl. Your streams are up. I salute it. That's that.
I thought the song was cool. I didn't like.
Go for it.
I feel like I'm gonna get a reputation that I'm hard on this person, and I didn't like Kanye's verse.
Okay, why not?
I just didn't like it. I don't really know why. Like, I heard Cardi, she was cool. I heard Lil Durk, he was cool too. And then Kanye came on, and I just didn't like. I didn't. It felt very ooh, Sesame Street to me.
Okay.
Maybe Sesame Street is not what I'm thinking of. What's something that was one of those kids shows that like rhymes everywhere. It felt very Cat in the Hat to me.
Got it.
That's what I mean.
Dr. Seuss bars.
Yeah, and Kanye is better than that.
Okay.
You know, because y'all think he's a genius. Don't geniuses hit it every time?
No, no. Failure and perfection and genius are not synonymous. But we can go on if you have nothing left to say about this record.
They're not synonymous. However, I just feel like, you know, if I were having this conversation with any Kanye fan, they would give me reasons why he did this. They would apologize for him. That's why I made the comment I made because, you know, ooh, Kanye can't do any wrong. Boo.
No,
We
I
can,
don't think that. I think
we can.
Kanye can do lots of wrong. So
When it comes to the music I'm talking about,
Kanye can do wrong. Kanye, everything Kanye drops or features on is not a hit or
I
his best
agree.
work. Yeah.
I agree. I just think that there's a sentiment that that's not the case. Anyway,
Um,
and we don't have to.
I'm
I
not part of
mean,
whoever feels that way.
we don't have to go too deep into Kanye.
Not today.
It's not about Kanye. It's about Cardi. And yes,
That's right.
Cardi did show up, and Cardi did her thing. And yes, I liked it for the most part. I didn't have a problem with it. If I hear it, I'll give a little shimmy. Yes,
Okay.
good with it. No complaints with that, other than Mr. Muppet.
Got it. Moving on.
Hmm.
Nas and DJ Premier put out an EP.
Okay,
So
I
it's
did not know that.
under Nas. Yeah, it's under Nas label Mass Appeal.
Hmm.
It's a EP produced by DJ Premier, and it features different artists. It's really cool.
Hmm.
It's part of a series they're doing for this is 50. Is it called or 50 years? Hold on, let me be accurate because I don't want to be a bad journalist.
50 years, meaning he's 50.
No, it's about hip hop.
Mhm.
There was a series that they did, and they're doing some music stuff with it now.
Okay.
Hip Hop 50 is the brand.
Hmm.
Um, and so this is Hip Hop 50 Volume 1. This one is produced fully by DJ Premier.
Hmm.
It's 5 songs. Um, and the rumor is that the every release will be completely produced by a different iconic producer. So
Okay.
this one has lots of like beat breaks and old school hip hop sounds, which is part of what DJ Premier does. But he has a
Hmm.
great way of keeping it relevant. And then there are some great records up there. There's a song with Slick Rick and Lil Wayne. There's another song with Remy Ma and Rhapsody. Joey Badass has a record up there. I'm missing somebody. Who else is up here? Oh, of course, Nas has a record up there. I guess that's going to be the single. And then there's another song with called Terrible Twos featuring Run the Jewels.
Interesting.
Yeah, the
I
Remy
need to
and
check this out.
yeah. To be honest, I don't think any of the songs are skippable. I heard all of
Hmm.
them on the way here. Um, all good records. The
Okay.
Remy Ma and Rhapsody was a great pairing.
That sounds like a really good pairing. Just
Yeah, it was really cool to hear them both on the same track talking their shit. That was pretty fly.
I need to
Um,
listen to that.
and Slick Rick and Lil Wayne did their thing too. That caught me off guard. That was an interesting pairing as well.
You giving Lil Wayne the thumbs up?
Yeah, he did his thing. You gotta give props where it's due. He did his
I
thing.
mean, she's so sweet.
He didn't go on there and say I did, I think, I said, I think, I think, I said,
I
I think, I think, I said. He didn't do that
He
this
didn't
time.
do that this time.
No.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. I have to listen to that. I
Yeah,
did not know that that was a thing,
I didn't know either
but I
until
will.
late last night slash early this morning.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, I gotta check that out. I saw that there was a Nas and Preem record
Mhm.
and that it was the 50-year situation, but I didn't know it was an EP. And so I found that it was an EP. I was like, all right, I gotta check it out. But
Mhm.
yeah, great, smooth listen, great records. Definitely lots of replay value.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I the rumor is the next one is produced by Swiss, but I don't know how true that is. So we'll see, and we will keep
Interesting.
y'all updated on
I will catch up.
it. And one of
Yeah.
my favorites, Neo, dropped an album.
Love Neo.
There hasn't been a Neo album in 4 years.
Ooh.
He's on a very interesting press run, which I'll leave like that for now. He's doing lots of interviews and stuff for his album.
Mhm.
Um, so the album is out. The album is smooth. It has a wide variety of sounds, but it's pretty much the current sound of R&B.
Mhm.
Um, lots of snare usage. Um, I haven't gotten to fully listen twice
Mhm.
like I usually like to. I'm at one and a half. I
Okay.
still got the second half of the album to listen to a second time.
Okay.
Um, it's interesting. He said in an interview that he has to consider all three of his fan bases when he makes albums. And I was like, what are the three? I was like, I know R&B is one, and I guess pop is another, but what's the third? Can you guess the third?
Dance.
Very good. That's what he said. And I never would
Okay.
have thought that.
Because all my favorite R&B artists love to dabble in dance.
Yeah.
I just I don't like it. Well, I said this on the pod before. I don't like that they love to do. I don't. I get it because they go overseas and they do really well, and so there's incentive there for them to do that. But
Yeah.
I don't need it over here. I'm good.
I I thought that was interesting. That's what he said in a very recent interview.
Hmm.
He said that he has to consider when he makes an album, he considers all three fan bases and he wants to make sure that he has stuff for all three fan bases. And I thought that was really interesting because I
I respect
never
that.
knew him to do that. I didn't know that was why, but that explains why the last couple albums have sounded the way they have.
I respect
Um,
that very much, actually.
yeah, so this album,
You know that other guy that made the dance album was only thinking about one audience, so it just
all right, lost.
Drake.
Oh, he's not an R&B guy.
I didn't say he was.
But that's what I was thinking when you said it. I'm like, oh, R&B guy dance, got it.
You went on a whole rant right in this closet
Sure did,
about his dance album.
sure did. Yeah, because we were talking about Neo. I thought you were talking about another R&B person. My fault for assuming.
It's fine. But I mean, what is Drake's genre anyway?
Ask him. I don't know anymore. That was part of my rant. I don't know.
I know. Well, you said, well, you're not letting him claim R&B.
No, I said I don't want to hear him mentioned with the top tier rappers anymore. That's what I said.
Right.
But if he's R&B, all right, whatever. Then
Well, because you just said, you were thinking of other R&B artists, so you did count him out as an R&B artist.
I don't. I don't think
So
R.
as I'm
I don't
saying,
think Drake when I think R&B.
I don't either.
He has
For the
R&B
record.
records, sure, but he's not someone that I think about when I think of R&B. But yeah, the Neo album is very interesting. It has so the sequencing is good. I didn't skip any records. There's nothing I hated.
Okay.
Um, there aren't any ballads really, and I guess this is
Ballads.
more about R&B, not neo. But I think ballads are an important
Ballads.
ballads. I think they're an important part of R&B that's gone missing. Um,
Agree.
so I kind of missed that wasn't there. I think he's good at those kind of records.
He really is.
So
I love
one of the
Neo.
things I've always liked about Neo, um, him and Rihanna for a long time were like two of my favorite R&B acts
Mhm.
because they're very balanced.
Yeah.
And I feel like taking the ballad away, uh, kind of kind of messes with the balance of things. Um, but I don't think that's a discredit to Neo or a critique of Neo's album.
Mhm.
I think it's just about kind of like where R&B's at today. It's more bouncy records and hip hop
It's hip
esque
hop.
records. Um, and so that's what this album is.
So it's complicated.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't have any complaints. I haven't done my full listen. Like I said, I usually do two listens before critiquing an album.
Mhm.
Um, I think he did do a good job of trying to cater to all three if that's what he was trying to do.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, I didn't know that prior to listening to the album the first time.
Hmm.
And so I went in just thinking of a Neo album and just seeing, okay, let's see how this holds up to some of his other projects.
Right.
And so far, so good. My one thing is, I don't know if Neo really challenged himself, though. I feel like this was kind of like I'm feeling creative and I'm going to make this, but I don't really hear anything that really pushes the boundaries or pushes to like new heights. Um, and I think he's capable of doing that. I think he's done that before. Um, but maybe I need more time with the album, and maybe he just doesn't want to challenge himself. I don't think every artist is trying to challenge himself. Neo's been here,
A long time.
yeah, 15 years, something like that. I think Neo
Yeah.
first dropped like '03, '04,
I was
something
in
like that.
college when Stay was out. Stay with me.
Yeah, I don't know what year that was, but
I don't want to say what year though.
well, if PD Crack was on it, it's definitely super early 2000s.
Late 2000s. No.
Late? No. PD Crack? PD Crack
When did
was on
Stay come out?
whatchamacallit?
I know. I was not in college in the early 2000s. Mid 2000s.
'06.
Oh 06. Oh 06.
Yeah, so 2006, he's been here
Yeah.
quite some time.
I wasn't in college.
It's all good.
I just remember listening. You know what it was? I was a file clerk and I used to put away mail and I would listen to music because there was no, it was just me in the mailroom by myself.
Right.
And I worked for a debt collection law firm where all I did was file letters from people in debt and file them. What it doesn't matter anyway. And I would listen to Neo like over and over again. And to be honest, I tend to put albums together if I'm listening to the same artist and just create a playlist. And so it's quite possible that I was completely off about, I was off about that year because,
It's all good.
I wasn't.
Wasn't
Well,
in college just yet.
wait. No, I was. I was.
Okay.
I was. Wow, I'm old. You're old too. But, sorry. I just off on a tangent. If I'm old, you're old.
I didn't even say anything. I just caught a stray.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. It wasn't a stray. I wasn't shooting at you.
Just caught a stray bullet out of nowhere. Just minding my business.
I was like, wait, when I
I
do
didn't
the
even
math,
say nothing.
no, I was definitely in college. Early years in college. My bad. So all in all, Neo's album was a good album.
Yeah, it's called Self-Explanatory.
I
I was
saw
looking for
that.
the name. It's called Self-Explanatory. It's a smooth listen.
Okay.
He's got some interesting features on there, and like I said, I haven't done the full two listens, so I don't want to give a number review or anything too deep.
Okay.
But it's a smooth listen, and maybe, like I said, maybe he's not in a situation where he wants to challenge himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just something I think about as I listen to artists that I like. I wonder, how are they pushing the envelope? What are they doing that's new or different? What are they
Mm-hmm.
doing that's new or different for them? Um, That's it. But I don't have any complaints so far. I haven't really felt the need to skip anything. Nothing is like, oof, skip this. So pretty smooth so far.
Clearly, I need to catch up on new music.
I mean, a lot came out in the last couple. In the last 2 weeks, a lot of music came out. Friday the 15th. Yeah, Friday the 15th. A lot of music came out. Tons of music came out. Lloyd Banks dropped an album. I haven't heard it yet. But it's part two of his last album, Course of the Inevitable, which was a solid album. So this is part two. I know the features he has up there. He's got like real spitters up there. He's got a song with Jadakiss. He's got one with Benny the Butcher. He's got one with Conway. We'll speak about Conway in a second. And
Yes, we will.
and I mean, his last album was solid, so I don't expect anything less. Um, I did hear the song with Benny the Butcher because it was released as a single. Um, it's cool. I want to see where it falls in line with the rest of the body of work, and how things flow as a whole on the album.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard it yet, but I did hear. Sorry. I was busy trying to listen to the other stuff, Neo and
There was a
Cream.
lot to listen to,
Yeah, there's been a lot of music that came out.
and I'm behind on all of it. I'll catch up. Any last thoughts on any of the new music that came out?
Nope. That's what I got so far.
There you go. All right. Well, we covered Neo. We covered Cardi.
Conway.
Conway. You just mentioned Conway.
All right.
Let's get into it.
That's a good thing.
Conway versus Funk Flex.
I mean, it's really Funk Flex versus everybody, but
Listen, I got in an Uber a few days ago, and the driver changed the station to Hot 97, which we could also talk about why the driver felt he needed to change the station to Hot 97.
he knew when he saw you.
But we won't do it.
He knew when he saw you.
But I get in, and it's Funk Flex, and he's like, he talked about me, and he called me a DJ, which
Oh, that's not Conway.
no, he wasn't talking about Conway. I can't remember who, because when I was listening to it, he didn't identify who it was. I'm sure he identified who it was prior, but not in that moment. He always has a problem with somebody. Always.
Yeah.
And this was just days after, or maybe the next day after the Conway thing.
Sorry.
It was maybe a day or two after I found out about the Conway thing. He was beefing with somebody else.
Yeah.
Then I was like, do we even need to talk about this? Because this is a permanent state with him. This is not news. What is this?
Well, I think we should discuss it because of the things that Conway is saying.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Though that is what's most important here. But Flex got issues with everybody
Flex is beefing.
all the time, and then he's upset that he's being called a DJ. What are you, Flex? What are you? What is he? Is he not a DJ?
New York and shit, my opinion, man, y'all gotta get them old niggas up out the way like Flex and them niggas, man. You know what I mean? Them gatekeepers that y'all got up there, man, that's trying to dictate, like, who, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Good thing I don't need y'all niggas, because if I needed y'all niggas would be fake stifling my growth. Y'all don't play my shit. Sus One, you got on Wendy Williams show, nigga, on primetime TV, nigga, and, like, say it what you said. Flex, every chance you get, you said that. You got to stand on that. We got to get rid of y'all niggas, man. Let some new, young, really tapped in with the streets ass niggas be the DJs and run that shit up there at Hot 97, nigga, and all that shit. And I love Hot 9, but it's weirdos like you weirdo DJ niggas, and y'all niggas think that y'all run New York, nigga. Y'all is lame and clowns.
Right. It was Pete Rock who, when I heard the radio, it was Pete Rock and Funk Flex who were having an issue, and I honestly could not tell you exactly what the problem was. Um, I was just fascinated by the fact that he was in another beef 48 hours later. 36 maybe.
So apparently Pete Rock is in support of what Conway said. So Funk Flex's response was, "Why do I get on the nerves of multi-platinum worldwide touring artists like Griselda? Artists like Griselda? Question mark. Managed by Rock Nation and signed to Eminem slash Interscope? Question mark. I'm old, over the hill, irrelevant. Plus, I'm not in tune with the new generation. My support is pretty much not needed? Question mark. Why do I make so many people upset? Question mark.
Okay.
Uh, then he says, "You and your team have had a feature from Jay-Z, Eminem, Lil Wayne, J. Cole, Jadakiss, Travis Scott, French Montana, and more. Wasn't you on Kanye's Donda album? Question mark. I'm gonna give you the advice Paul Rosenberg should have gave you. You're a 40 plus bar rapper, sorry, lyricist, that has had every resource possible. If you are not happy with your career as of today, with all them cosigns, I think you have peaked, my guy. What do you think?"
Okay.
So later, this changed into a different situation in which Funk Flex says he's gonna send Conway a beat, and Conway has until Thursday, in which he will play the record Conway creates to the beat on Thursday.
He gave him a challenge.
I guess so. So in the midst of that is where the Pete Rock thing came in. I guess I can read that and then we can respond to all of it since I still have my specs on. Pete Rock said, "You don't play real artists no more. You talk shit like you better than everybody, and I believe all threats with real talent in music were removed by plan out of the way for that new shit to happen. You a NY oh, okay. You a NY nigga treating the other NY artists who put in work like our careers is over. You stop playing Wu Tang, you play no Griselda, nothing. Stop playing a lot of artists, then you judge motherfuckers and make fun of the fact that you control what you want when you on the air. So much good music out here to be ignored, and as a black dude treating other black talented people like they beneath you. You don't make beats or rap, but you shitted on artists cause you could not cause you could, and stop supporting real hip hop music to cater to whoever you got in their pocket." This is worded weird, sorry. "That's sucker DJ behavior. When I was a DJ on Hot 97 and WBLS, I never fronted on artists in hip hop not playing their music. I played everybody's shit, even West Coast shit you was fronting on. That's why niggas is upset cause you shitted for no reason. Black people not
Saying you shitted for no reason is just a funny thing.
I know, that's why I'm like, word,
I'm
this
like,
is
huh? What you said, Pete Rock?
that's why niggas is upset cause you shitted for no reason. Black people not supposed to treat each other like that, but these days, it says these, Deez. These days, money will make a nigga do anything. Always been a funny style dude from day one, only to front on niggas later and run that mouth of yours playing whack shit. Funk Flex, you do this in your own city to your own people and be nonchalant about shit laughing like it's a joke. SMH." That was Pete Rock's paragraph for Funk Flex.
But why?
So that's why you heard
What?
Funk Flex.
No, now it makes complete sense, and I appreciate that.
flipping out.
Here's my question though. Maybe I'm living under a rock.
And then Pete Rock said a lot. Pete Rock, Funk Flex said a lot about Pete Rock. But you can continue.
Funk Flex did say a lot about Pete Rock. I heard some of the things that he said. It doesn't even matter. My question here is, do people really still are people really still concerned about Funk Flex? And I want to point out that Funk Flex is an OG.
Yep.
Right? I'm in no way trying to be disrespectful. Because I remember growing up and listening to Hot 97. I remember one of my friends winning being his intern. You know, you could do the intern thing. Like that was such a huge deal when it happened. We all tuned in and like made sure we listened to that. That was such a big deal. And Funk Flex has been such a staple in New York City radio forever, for as long as I can remember.
Yes.
So I am in no way trying to discount, discredit, or even just shade him, even though he's shady. But I'm not at all trying to shade him. But we have streaming, we have this, we have that, we have YouTube, there's so many different avenues to in terms of where you get your music from. There are so many people providing commentary on hip hop and rap and the culture. Is Funk Flex really the guy that people are upset at? Like, does it, in the grand scheme of things, does it even matter that Funk Flex is Funk Flexing?
That's the question. Conway called him a gatekeeper. And that is part of where the conversation gets interesting. That's why I thought it should be spoken about here. He calls him a gatekeeper. He says that he's not playing his music, even though it's great music and other people are supportive, but he's not. And that insinuates that Conway's career is being held back by quote unquote gatekeepers.
Right.
So I guess there's a couple questions. One is, what type of music does the radio play?
Well,
second question, is Funk Flex a gatekeeper? Third question, are there gatekeepers today?
First question was,
what kind of music plays on hip hop radio?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't listen to radio a whole lot, right? But when I do listen to the radio, they're rotating the same 15 songs, just like they used to, just like they've always done.
But what type of music plays on hip hop radio?
What do you mean, what type? Like, what type of artist? Not Griselda.
What type of songs are playing on hip hop radio?
Not Griselda. They're playing Little Baby.
Right.
They're playing
commercial records.
Da Baby.
They're playing commercial records.
Right. They're playing Cardi B. They're playing Drake. They're playing
commercial records.
Right. They're playing Big Lotto. You know, I very rarely listen to the radio, but I do get a chance to listen to the radio every now and again. So that's why these are the people that I'm thinking of. But I think, to answer your question in reverse, no, they're not playing Griselda on the radio.
They're playing commercial records. They're playing records that have certain types of sounds that come from certain types of labels, in part because those labels pay them to play the music.
Right.
And so it's very possible that the music is not being played simply because they're not being paid to play it. That's number one. Number two, Griselda does not make mainstream or commercial records. So that's why I wanted to ask that question first.
Right.
The second question is Funk Flex a gatekeeper?
I think Funk Flex was a gatekeeper. I don't think today, I don't see him as, and again, I don't listen to radio, so maybe I'm making this offhanded statement without really being informed. But there's a lot of gates to keep at this point. I don't I don't think there's one way in. I think before streaming, before social media, before all of that, I think that radio DJs were the gatekeepers. And yeah, like again, growing up and listening to the radio and hearing your favorite DJ, whoever that might have been, say that they were going to play a record or announce that Funk Flex, because Funk Flex was the one who was on at night. And so a lot of times when records dropped, it was in his show. But you would hear your daytime DJs say Funk Flex is dropping this record later. Like Funk Flex was a gatekeeper. I don't know that today, like if new music is dropping, when Drake comes out and says he's dropping an album in a few hours, nobody's turning on Flex to hear it first the way they were many years ago. I think when we were growing up, again, like Griselda included, probably can identify with the fact that Funk Flex was the one who was releasing a lot of this music, at least in the tri state.
Okay.
But I have not heard anyone in recent years say that they were listening to Funk Flex to find out what's hot and what's not and what's new.
Right.
I, I don't. I think he was a gatekeeper, and like I said, I don't want to discredit him at all for what he's done and his role in the culture. But today, I don't. What gate is he keeping? Especially if we're saying that your first question, if we're saying that it's the labels who are paying the radio stations, it doesn't really matter because they're gonna play what they're playing, and he's not gonna have a whole lot of say over that. No, I don't think he's a gatekeeper. I think maybe there are new gatekeepers, but I guess we'll get to your third question. Tell me what you think about whether Flex is a gatekeeper or not.
I don't think Flex is a gatekeeper. I think the fact that Griselda is so successful without mainstream radio says enough right there.
Mhm.
He was mentioning those cosigns and features to be shady, pun intended,
Mhm.
but they exist for a reason. J. Cole, Jay Z, Eminem, all these features that they have, it gives them credentials, it gives them credit, it gives them a really nice looking resume.
Mhm.
And Griselda's hot in the streets. I don't think they need radio. And I think the problem is, which this is not any of my questions, but just speaking bluntly, I think the problem is if you're making a certain type of music that is not going to be played on the radio, you can't be mad it's not played on the radio. If you're in the hip hop game, you know that the radio plays certain types of records.
Mhm.
If you're not making those type of records, then you can't expect for your shit to get played on the radio. And yeah, you're signed to Shady or was signed to Shady because since this started, allegedly they're no longer on Shady. But if you're on Shady Records, you have the the support to be on the radio. Your label can make a call or make a donation or whatever it is that niggas do to get played on Flex or whoever else.
Mhm.
But it doesn't matter if you're not making certain kinds of music. Do I agree that that should be that way? No. But that is the game. The game is you have to be making certain types of music to be played on the radio, or just be such a phenomenal star that it's gonna get played. Like there were J. Cole records and Kendrick records that were not radio records, but they were so big that they got played on the radio. But that's like an anomaly. That's a random, not normal scenario. And you can't expect that to happen for you. Uh, it, I don't think Cole or Kendrick expected it to happen for them. Uh, and so I think that's the problem for all of this. No, I don't think Flex is a gatekeeper. Um, I think that there are plenty of other ways to get your music heard, and y'all are doing it. Y'all are killing it.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the need for Flex is for you guys. I'm nobody, so hey, fuck do I know? But uh, I don't understand why Conway cares about Flex or Sus One
Mhm.
and their cosigns. You've got plenty of them, and you guys are killing shit. Keep killing shit.
I agree.
That's my opinion. And the third question was what? Are there gatekeepers? I don't I don't know. I think there are gatekeepers. I don't think that people are viewing gatekeepers the same way
Yeah.
because the things have changed. I think now the labels are the gatekeepers more than ever because more important than getting played on the radio is playlist placements. And that's where our artists are really struggling. Um, if you're not getting the playlist placements that are now kind of replacing radio, that is where your problem might really ensue. That's where you may struggle a lot. That's where your first week sales, second week sales may dwindle or not hit the you know expectations.
Mhm.
Um, I think those are gatekeepers. I think if you're not able to be streamed for one reason or another, that is something that's going to stop you from progressing.
I was just about to ask you. So then, is it the labels and the streaming services? Is it Apple Music too? Is it Spotify too? Yes, the labels have a hand in what they do, but ultimately, if Apple is like, well, we're putting Drake here instead of, I don't know, Lloyd Banks or something like that, they have a hand in it as well.
That
You
comes
know,
from the labels.
I know it's coming from the labels.
The labels are in bed with the streaming services.
Sure, but the streaming service still has to do what the label is asking them to do, and that's at their discretion. So, isn't it both of them?
Yes, it is both of them. But that's what I'm saying. Like the labels own parts of the streaming services.
I get that.
So it's not just calling and asking for a favor.
I don't think it is calling and asking for a
Yeah.
favor, but the labels don't own the streaming services.
Not
It's
not
not
100%.
right. So there's a partnership happening,
Yeah.
which means both of them are involved. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
To me, those are the gatekeepers. You don't need Funk Flex. You don't need Angie. You don't need any of the legendary New York voices. I'm sure it's helpful, but I don't think you need them. And I think the fact that Griselda has done so well is proof of that.
Right.
Yeah, they've worked with everyone that they've wanted to work with. They've worked with all of the highly respected legends of then and now. And I think that proves that no, those people are not gatekeepers today. Does it help? Absolutely. If Angie Martinez goes on the radio and starts talking about someone's new record, yes, it's going to bump their streams. Yes, people are going to be looking for it. If Funk Flex drops bombs on your records, yes, it helps. But I don't think either one of them are the deciding factor in 2022
No.
for someone to be hot or not. No, I don't think so.
And I would be curious to know how many steps it takes you to even get to the Angie, excuse me, the Angie Martinez or the Funk Flex, because if you're not getting in a car and turning on the radio, and then a lot of people now in their cars have Sirius radio, they're not necessarily. People are living in a world where commercials are the enemy.
Yes.
People don't want advertisements
Nope.
in their stuff.
They do not.
And people are willing to pay to not have advertisements in the content they consume.
Right.
And so, how, in the grand scheme how many people are listening to them, to these specific people now than they were, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot less.
a lot less. And so, yeah, pioneers and very significant and very important to New York radio and New York and music in New York, period. But I'm not saying nobody's listening to radio. I know people are listening to the radio.
Sure.
But it's just different. The landscape has changed.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I think to be an artist during this time, there's so much there's so much opportunity out there in terms of reaching people that I'm kind of surprised that this is this he took Conway took such a strong stance. But then on the other hand, I guess I can understand um, wanting people to like what you do and having that be important to you. We talk about this all the time here in terms of artists and you know what they need to feel validated about their work.
Right.
And for someone who, because they're from Buffalo, right?
Yes.
For someone who is from New York, not necessarily New York City, but for someone who is from New York, that's a stamp. So I get the frustration there. I do. I just don't think that. I think it's misguided. I think you don't even need it. But it's like I said with Diddy on our last episode, um, winning the Lifetime Achievement Award from BET. Historically, these things have been so important, and so much weight has been put on them that I can see how an artist today holds that into a high regard. It's like when artists that we know are great and they know they're great, and then the Grammy nominations come out and they all throw tantrums.
No, it's not like that because you can't make underground hip hop and expect to be played on the radio.
Well, I'm just talking about
Cosign?
yeah.
That's what
I'm
I'm
just
saying.
talking about
But
valid.
that's what I'm responding to. Seeking validation from the radio persona is not going to work if you're not playing those type of records.
I'm not saying it's gonna work. I'm just saying as an artist, you want people to validate your work.
Oh, sure.
So
But I think you also have to be realistic about that.
yeah, but
If
that
I
doesn't
don't,
mean
if
that
I don't
everybody's
make,
realistic.
but then you can't go on rants and go complain and call people out by name.
Well, that's exactly what you're gonna do if you're not being realistic.
Well, then that's the problem.
But that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that that's something that I think that anybody who creates understands that there are certain markers that you have that allow you to say or that you decide are my work is important based on this because this many people like it or it got played on Funk Flex's show, or it got nominated for a Grammy, or it's this, or it's that, or whatever it is. I understand what you're saying, and maybe then artists like Griselda need to lower their expectations in certain spaces. But the reality of the situation is people still have that in their head. Like people still want to be validated. Whether it makes sense to us or not, that's a real thing.
I understand that. As an artist, I get it. But if you're not making certain type of music, those cosigns are never gonna come. Like if you make underground music, you might get a DJ Premier cosign, and they have,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not gonna get radio personas playing your music that's not for the radio.
No,
You'd have to be a
they're not.
megastar for that to happen, and the record that's played would have to be
It wouldn't be the type of records that they make.
right. It would have to be something that's undeniably hot and not so underground sounding. Listen, I'm not criticizing. I love underground hip hop. I love boom bap hip hop. And if you know my music, you know that. But I'm also not up here upset because somebody didn't play my records. I You have to understand that if you make techno, Hot 97 is not playing techno.
But you understand that. But unfortunately, I guess the point that I'm making is
They're seeking validation from the wrong
the
people.
angsty artist exists, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but you can't.
and yes, is it misguided? I think that's the point that we're both trying to make. That it's misguided, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense to me. They're not. Then yes, they're not being realistic. I agree with you. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't matter. Y'all don't need him. Like,
I mean, they don't. They absolutely don't. I don't think anyone needs him at this point. I think, like you said, it's a nice to have, but I don't think anyone needs him. I think there's far other ways to get in. There's far other ways to get your music played by the masses, or on a micro level, because there's the masses and then there's droves of people. I don't know how else to say it, but it's kind of like with the internet, where there's influencers and then there's micro influencers. Like, those numbers matter too.
yep.
You know, I just I don't know. I don't know. I guess on a human level, I understand it, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, from that vantage point, should they or should they not? No, I mean, no. Was the live gonna help him in some way? No, he was just getting some shit off his chest
Yeah.
that he was feeling a way about.
Sure.
Should he have? Does it help him to go on this rant and go back and forth with Funk Flex? Is it gonna get him anywhere? Is it gonna change anything about his career? No,
Yeah.
no. And so, was it worth it? Probably not. But here we are. I mean, we're talking about it, so that's something.
Well, Flex has made it a bigger thing. That's why.
Well, Flex will make everything bigger.
Right. So, do you have a response on this Pete Rock situation?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't even know what to say. Like, I mean, thank you, Pete Rock, for stepping into the shade room. I don't know. I get why he stepped in, but again, and I hear him, right? I hear him when he says that, he tries to give artists a chance and whatever, but we are living in different times.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like behind the scenes anymore. I feel like before, you could, like, you hear a lot of the OG DJs talk about when they tell their stories, and they talk about how, I knew this record was gonna pop. I knew it, and I made sure they played it. They didn't want me to play it, and I played it 10 times over and over again. DJs had a lot of leeway back in the day. They don't have that leeway today. At least it doesn't seem that way from the outside looking in.
Right.
So
I think the
I
other
don't
piece that's
know.
missing too is, as the DJ, as Funk Flex,
Hmm.
as the person hosting this hour, 2 hour, 3 hour long slot,
Yeah.
he, like Neo said, has a fan base
Yes.
who is tuning in, listening for certain things.
Yes.
Those fans don't want to hear certain types of records. Like, if Funk Flex plays a techno record, they're gonna be upset.
Right.
If Funk Flex plays, like, maybe not house music because of Drake's album, but if Funk Flex starts playing house music,
I have a note about Drake, by the way.
they might be upset.
Yeah.
My point is, he also has a fan base of people who are listening to him, who came looking for specific types of music. That's what he's gonna play because he's trying to cater to those fans as well. You gotta think about that too.
Yes. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted when you talked about Drake, because I said this was gonna happen. I said they were gonna find a way to make us like at least one or two of the songs on the album. And gotta be honest, I have heard the radio recently. When Sticky comes on, I'm okay with it. I guess that's the single. I'm okay with it.
Are you okay with $2,000 OVO Fest tickets?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I just
Is it Fire Festival? Like what is this? Is it like is it supposed to be like Coachella? Where there's lodging and there's food included and there's the shows. What is that about?
I don't know.
Why are they doing that?
I don't know.
Would you go? Would you pay that much money for?
I don't fucking know.
Okay, I wouldn't either. I'm just wondering. Okay, so let me ask you a question. What would you pay $2,000 for? Who would you?
Nobody.
Okay, all right.
I'm not paying $2,000 to see Jay-Z.
I'm not paying $2,000 to see Usher, and y'all know. I'll take my clothes. Never mind. So maybe that's how I get. That's how I get in without paying $2,000. Anyway.
So Meek Mill has parted ways with Rock Nation management, and
Apparently,
that's worth speaking about,
allegedly, reportedly.
but it also leads to other interesting conversations.
Is he still under MMG? Is it MM?
It is MMG, Maybach Music Group.
Yes, my guy, Rick Ross. I don't know why that was like hard for me to. I don't know. I'm
Good.
hungry. I think that's what it is. Never pot on an empty stomach.
Never pot on an empty stomach.
Never again.
In recent months, Meek Mill has been vocal through Twitter about some of his struggles with the labels and support and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it does not come as a surprise to me that he is leaving Rock Nation management. Yeah, we see him with Hove. Yeah, they're working on, getting the media and the masses to uh, support this bill where we don't use lyrics in court. But that doesn't have anything to do with business. It's separate. I know that there's a lot of things that are going on with Meek Mill business wise, but he's been very vocal through Twitter about his unhappiness with the labels and the support. So he's parted ways with Rock Nation. This could mean a lot. This could not mean a lot. Perhaps he's going to have self management or he's moving on to a different thing. Most of the big artists in hip hop are signed to Rock Nation management. So where he's going to go alternatively, I'm not sure. But it doesn't surprise me that he's trying to make changes with management because he seems very unhappy with his situation. And apparently that has led to other discussions on the internet. There's some very public beefing going on.
I was like, what are we talking about here?
There's some very public beefing going on between Rick Ross and Gilly the Kid from $1 Million Worth of Game podcast.
Is that what it's called?
It is.
Okay.
And
you know that?
Yeah, it's a very popular hip hop podcast. And
I don't listen to very popular hip hop. Except for one. The one.
And
you know which one. Okay. They don't need advertising here.
So Rick Ross and Gilly the Kid are beefing. I'm not even 100% sure why, but the Meek Mill signings label stuff has come up in the beef. Rick Ross said some slick things in comments under a video apparently, and Gilly has responded multiple times. So Rick Ross said something in comments, and I can't find what he said. But he said something in comments, and then on air, Gilly responded to Rick Ross, and then Rick Ross did a video responding to Gilly, and now Gilly has done another video responding to Rick Ross.
Listen, everybody just needs to go sit down and relax. Why is everybody beefing?
I don't know, but there's a lot of beef going on.
Gilly was making fun. I can't lie, Gilly is a funny guy. Okay? He was making fun of Rick Ross buying a cow. So y'all know Rick Ross has been on this kick lately where he's just been buying random shit.
He's been buying
He's rich and
farm
probably
animals
bored.
and creating a farm. It appears.
He has a what is it called? Okay, so it's a shrub, but I think there's an actual name when you sculpt it into things or animals or people or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but he has a shrub of a bear who he's named Lulu. And honestly, listen, if you have enough money that you could just do random nonsense
Fuck it.
whenever you feel like it, and you're not bothering anybody, you're just having a good time. Why is anybody mad at that? I think it's
Well, that's not where the beef
hilarious.
started.
I know that's not where the beef started, but I just think it's hilarious because Gilly was like, "You have a fucking cow. You're buying fucking cows," and it was just like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah. And then Rick Ross said, "I spend more money on cow hooves and maintaining my cattle than you spend on your wife."
Oh.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah,
I didn't
that was
realize.
part of the Bear Lulu video.
I didn't.
That was the first part.
And honestly,
You were busy looking at his feet.
I was very distracted by his feet. But honestly, building up cattle, smart.
Nobody said it wasn't smart.
Smart. I'm just saying.
Oh, well,
I'm just saying.
in Rick Ross's response, he
You know-
said, "I spend more money on my cattle and their hooves than people spend on their wives." And so then Gilly responded to that as well.
Is it wrong for an artist who has been around for a long time to sit down and do whatever else they want to do?
No, but that's not what this is about.
What am I missing?
Whatever this started with, Rick Ross was talking slick, and that's where Gilly started responding publicly.
Oh, well, I mean, then, then let them have it out. I guess I understand that, but I'm speaking to points that Gilly made. I guess when he.
Well, this most recent one, he brought up a lot of
when
stuff.
he responded.
He brought up the cattle references about the wife.
Right.
He brought up the fact that Rick Ross paints one image but truly lives another.
Yes, he brought that
He
up.
brought up the Meek Mill signing beefs.
Because to me, with the video, the first video where he talked about the cow or whatever, it sounded to me like he was saying, well, Rick Ross is concerning himself with the wrong thing.
Right.
And so that's why I'm asking the question: Is there a point in an artist's career where it's okay for them to sit down and do other things?
Yeah,
I mean, we don't get mad at Rihanna for. I mean, some people do, but nobody's really mad at Rihanna for building Fenty, taking time, or not. I shouldn't say taking time, because as far as we know, she's created music. We just haven't gotten the music.
Sure.
So, but we don't really, get too mad at her for taking her time to go deal with her other business ventures and build her empire and go have a baby and this and that. And Rick Ross now is It's not that he doesn't make music. I don't remember the last Rick Ross album that came out,
He
but
dropped one a couple months ago.
oh well, then there we go. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess I understand that that's not where the beef started, but Gilly is making a point that he feels like Rick Ross is not doing enough. Rick Ross is a poser. Rick Ross is this. Rick Ross is that. I would like to ask, who is Gilly?
Oh, that's well. You and them can search up who Gilly is. Uh, he is an artist from Philly,
I know
and
that.
he is now the co-host of a very popular hip hop podcast. Uh, I think what Gilly is saying is, if your shit is not together, if there are things that can be revealed to the public about you, don't talk about me publicly.
Fine.
I think
That's
that's what
fine.
Gilly is saying, because in the last video, he's referencing how they were signed to the same label. He knows how Rick Ross was on a day to day basis before he blew up. He knows that Rick Ross is not being fair with Meek Mills, uh, and he's busy flexing cattle and other things. And so I think that's really what Gilly is saying. Not that you're buying cattle, but that you're saying, I live in this beautiful house and there's nothing for me to worry about when there are things for you to worry about. And saying, like, everybody around me is good, but Meek Mill is not good. And so I think that's really Gilly's stance, where it's kind of like, yo, shut the fuck up before I really reveal shit that the public may not know. And I think that's part of a topic we've spoken about here before, which is that on the internet, people will say wild, crazy shit
Yeah, who
and
you are
not
on the
think
internet
about,
is not who you are in real life.
but that's the problem, because when you wild out on the internet and then people, there's repercussions to wilding out on the internet. And I think that people forget that. And that seems to be Gilly's stance, that there will be repercussions if you continue to speak about me.
I guess I understand that. I guess the reason why I was saying who is Gilly is because it's like, again, we talk about Gatekeeper. It's like, what does it matter? But I guess if Rick Ross pissed him off, then Rick Ross pissed him off. And that has consequences too. I'm not saying Rick Ross is not wrong. If I agree, if you're gonna say something about somebody, then you have to assume that there could be repercussions to that.
Yeah.
That's life. That's anybody. Not just your favorite rapper, your not so favorite rapper, whoever. It doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
People are gonna have a reaction if you say something that disrespects them or offends them or whatever it is. So.
Yep.
Um.
Go ahead.
No, cool. It's a podcast.
I was gonna say, and speaking of reactions,
And speaking of reactions,
Omarion,
where is my dinner?
you want to talk about what Omarion said?
We can talk about what Omarion said. Go for it. This is your pod today.
Omarion was on video speaking about how, quote unquote, it's possible that because Mario's team was setting up the sound and monitoring the sound at the verses, that perhaps things were wrong with the sound when he was performing. And Mario has reacted and basically said, dude, stop it.
Omarion, did they tamper with your voice? Are you out there? Did they tamper with your voice? I'll wait.
Yeah. Didn't we have something
We
else?
know the difference between them tampering with your voice and tampering with the sound. And if you're telling me that they tampered with your voice, then we can have a conversation. That's it. We did.
People on the internet, however, are mad at Mario.
Yes, that was what I was about to say.
Yeah. So Mario dropped a new single or announced the new single.
Oh no, it dropped. I did not listen to
But
it.
people were mad when he announced it.
Yes, but since it was announced, it has dropped.
See, I didn't even know that. It's a lot of music coming out.
Yeah.
Yo,
it
is
came out
everybody
a
trying
couple
to
days
just
ago.
drop before Beyonce comes out?
Yep. And this is why I fucks with Beyonce, okay? For this type of stuff. Music, but the power she possesses. There is no woman on the planet who can talk their shit more than Beyonce. Beyonce is sitting at home right now. I bet Beyonce has all the finishing touches on the album. Everything's done. She's chilling. She's with the kids. It's Sunday night. They hanging out. They just, and Beyonce's like, look at them scurry to get their little songs out. Look at them. They've got 12 days left. Look at them just scamper around and release music and do all. They're afraid of me.
Because I'm like, man, this is a lot of music.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, all this music started dropping.
It's crazy. But Mario announced that he was dropping a new song, and it would feature none other than Tory Lanez. And the internet went into a frenzy. Right away, they found his old tweets and they posted them.
Yep.
And he was tweeting when the incident happened about Megan Tory.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "This is crazy." I'm summarizing. I'm not reading the whole tweet. He said, "This is crazy. We have to learn as black men to control our anger. We must protect black women, etc." And he now has a song coming out with Tory Lanez. The internet is mad at him.
He's also done interviews since the backlash, and basically it's like, you gotta support your brothers, and Tory Lanez is a brother of mine.
That's what he said.
And some shit like that. And here's the thing, right? Have your feelings, have your stance, believe what you want to believe. But to have taken such a hard and public stance in the beginning, what do you think?
Because that's funny for him to say in an interview.
He did say that's his brother, and and
That's
I was
funny.
just like, if honestly, if Tory Lanez is your brother, whatever. My problem is be consistent.
Oh, he has been. His last single was with who?
Chris Brown. And I say this all the time, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I've said this to you, where these dudes, they protect each other and they help each other. Because yes, they're brothers. They're brothers in devilish behavior, or what, I don't know. That's not the word I was looking for, but that's what came out. But they're especially like when a Tory Lanez and a Chris Brown says that they're going to do a project together. It's like, oh, I get why they do that, because it's like, we have each other. We've got to support each other. I'm not giving an opinion on that one way or another. But what I'm saying is, Mario then shouldn't have stood in it the way he stood in it 2 years ago. Then let Tory Lanez be your brother. Honor your brother in 2020. Because you know what you could do? You know what you could do? In the words of Demetria L. Lucas, shutting the fuck up is free. You could just shut the fuck up. You could just not say anything. You could just not tweet anything. But you know what, Mario? 2 years ago, people weren't checking for you the way they checking for you right now. You just killed the verses. And now you're on everybody's radar. But 2 years ago, if you would have heard a Mario song on the radio, you would have gotten excited. You would have sung along. But in terms of new music or anything like that, people weren't checking for you like that.
Not the way they are today.
Not the way they are today. I'm not saying they weren't checking for him at all. I'm just saying. So it would have behooved you back then in 2020 to say what you said, to curry favor from the black women who swoon over you. Let's stop doing this. We gotta stop doing this.
What do we have to stop doing?
We gotta stop doing this. Like, stand in your shit. Or at least, if you change your mind, and it is your prerogative to change your mind.
The internet does not like when people change their mind.
No, it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. But then you have to answer for it. And not dance around it and talk shit about how Tory Lanez is your brother. You ain't say Tory Lanez was your brother 2 years ago. Mario. Your fine ass and your smooth voice. Niggas. I'm done.
We're done, folks. That's our episode. If you made it this far, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Leave a comment.
All that.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Adios.
Bye.